Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 take action success coach and strategist, empowering, igniting, educating, and inspiring people just like you to take action with jet propulsion. We want you to step into the next best version of yourself and really see that you do have all the power in your life. Especially with this conversation today, you do not want to miss out on this conversation. It is just going to be amazingly riveting with our guest today, Janice Tverberg, and she is a Reiki Master Teacher, intuitive medium, a self-care coach known as the Quiet Healer, and you'll understand why in a minute. From early childhood experiences of sensing spirit, Janice developed her gifts through formal training in mediumship and Reiki. With a warm, grounded presence, she guides individuals to reconnect deeply with their inner wisdom, align energetically on every level, and receive clarity and healing from beyond the physical. Janice helps clients navigate transitions, dissolve fear around the unseen, and step into soul-led purpose with confidence and compassion. Welcome to the show, Janice. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Coach Lorianne. I am so happy to be here. I'm very excited about this
I'm
conversation.
excited about Yes, I'm excited about this conversation because we've both been through these transitions. I call them big pivots in our lives. And it's at those times that we have big opportunity. I would look at, those big turns and it looks like conflict. It gives us opportunity. The larger the turn, the larger the opportunities as I look at it. But I want to back up to share with our listeners something, a little bit about your background so that we can small transition into the conversation about the courage you had to take the steps that you did. And I really do believe it takes courage to actually step into that next step that you're supposed to take in our lives. So tell us a little bit about your background and where that transitional pivot happened.
I am a Reiki Master Teacher. I'm also an intuitive medium, and you mentioned a self-care coach, and that all was a culmination of things. From a young age, I was seeing, sensing, feeling spirit. Didn't know what to do with it. Thought I was crazy. Flash forward to it wasn't until my 30s where I actually went to another healer here on Long Island, and she also is teaching, and she also taught intuitive development. And she looked at me and she goes, "You're not sick, sweetie, you're psychic." And so that was a big pivotal moment. I started taking classes with her. And then as I'm taking classes with her, remember, she's also an energy healer. I'd give her a great big hug, hey, and she was like, "Your hands are on fire. You need to do something with them." And my hands were not on fire at the time. We'll get there in a minute. I'm like, "You're crazy." And finally, I have a rule of three. And finally, she like snapped at me a little bit, not in a bad way, but she's like, "Will you do something about your hands?" I wasn't feeling it at the time. But
Right.
there was a Reiki Master Teacher that she had recommended to other students. And I was like, okay, I need that name. I was called to do that. I needed a systematic modality. I was like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking about. Energetic healing, quantum healing. None of this made sense at that time. I'm like, I'm here to learn how to talk to spirit properly. I'm playing charades and telephone and Pictionary with people on the other side. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, this is hard enough. But I went to classes with my Reiki Master Teacher. And during that very first class, my hands got really hot. I'm like, oh, this makes sense now. And that
That
just took me through.
when
Yes.
we're connected, energy, our hands get very, very hot. So for those
Yeah.
listeners who have not experienced Reiki, you can actually do it over the phone. You could do it over the internet. You could do it in person, but our hands actually energetically get hot. There's actually a, a thing you can do where you just hold your hands about 2 feet
Mhm.
apart, and you can actually pretend that you're
Mm.
pushing a ball. And when
Yep.
you're pushing a ball, you can actually feel energy. It's not your
Okay.
imagination. It's
Yep.
actually our hands emanating energy because that's what we are. We're energetic beings.
Energy. Yep.
So if you ever want to really see that, I think it was called Cocoon. They showed the energetic version of
Energy.
ourselves.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really cool. But so you go in for one thing and you come out with another, which is it's all connected, obviously, is
It's
what you
all
discovered.
connected. I
Yeah.
did. And what was a blessing at I didn't feel like a blessing at the time, but what was a blessing is that I was in a very abusive marriage, and it got to the point of where you, as we were talking before, you stay too long,
Yeah.
and I was there was the fear of, okay, I need a place for me and my son to stay. He was a small child at the time. All these reasons, all these excuses we come up with that spirit laughs at, of course. And it got
Because
bad. It was very,
spirit has our back, so but we need to trust that, and that's the hardest thing, because you're like, listen, I need to be able to afford to bring my family someplace else, or be afford to stay here and pay for what's here. So yeah, I totally relate to that. It was a 10-year transition for me, because it get to the point for me that I felt like I was run over by a truck before I actually took those next step, because there was no other excuse I could throw on the table to delay it, you know.
Mhm.
And part of it is delaying a dream. You have this envision of what you want it to look like, and you know, for me it was like knowing my parents were married their whole entire life. They were each other's, if you ever watch Friends, lobsters, you know, where
Yeah.
they were inseparable. And you visualize you walking down as an elderly couple, maybe on a beach, holding hands in hand in quiet, because you already know what each other is thinking because you've been together that long. That's a beautiful vision, but that wasn't going to be our vision, right? That wasn't going to be what our lives are going to look like. And you actually have to learn to release that, that it's actually
And
the
that's
death of
hard.
that.
That's
Ah,
like the hardest thing. I've had a couple of pivotal, courageous moments in making that decision. Basically, I still wasn't gonna, I was still trying, I was doing it. I was like in the process. I was doing it. I was taking baby steps. And when we're talking like baby steps, they're like first steps, not like baby, like walking on a table, like I can zoom around. No, these were like shaky, unsteady. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And like I said, the universe was like, you're not doing it fast enough. Um, so he actually
yes.
threatened to kill me. My son was sitting right next to me and he threatened to kill me. Want to know why? Our son got pink eye.
Oh, oh,
Yeah. And so it was at that moment where I was like, okay, I have to speed this up. And then the next day I was at work and I was one of the early birds. I was live or die for the office I was working at. Not like live or die, but I was a very loyal, good employee.
that 100% in.
And and so he calls me and says, I'm going to take our son out of school and we may or may not come home tonight. I remember hanging up the phone, going into my other coworker's office saying, I have to go. I'll be back. I went to family court and got a restraining order. And the very next day, I saw a lawyer and started the whole process. And if I hadn't had that peace from taking Reiki, I don't know if I would have, I don't know if I would have made it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
one of those points where the universe, God, source, you're not moving fast enough. We've got you. And I mean, the resources and the people and the support was always there,
Yes.
but it's kind of like they stepped up and they've got you. Like you said, the universe has your back.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it takes a lot to trust and believe in that. You know, it's really hard. It took a couple of, you know, same kind of similar, not same, similar type of things that got me, and I was like, no, because if we don't act, what will happen next?
Hmm.
And so I want to work in the woulda, shoulda, couldas. I wanted to work in the reality of, okay, I need to take action now. So it's one of those, I'm going to protect my kids. And that's what I did, is I protected my kids from someone who was addicted to Oxycontin, you know, who was threatening, who was physical, who was violent. And so, and it's a hard thing to do, because all I kept thinking when I went to get the order of protection, I'll never forget this one judge who was a friend of mine, a business associate, I should say, said to me, if you don't do this, I will lose all respect for you. Because I was sitting there sobbing, because all I kept thinking about was, if I do this, I now impact his ability to get a job because now he has an order of protection against him. I impact his ability to, move forward without having this on his record, like his permanent record. Remember that in school when they talked about
Yeah,
permanent record? So
it's on
I
your
was thinking
permanent.
about yeah, I was thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about the holes in my wall. I wasn't thinking about the aggression that he had. I wasn't thinking about any of those other things that I was just like it was part of my everyday living and survival. And I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking about my kids and I was like, listen, and I'll never forget the phone call I got. She didn't call me often, but when she called me, we always had that conversation, the ones where you feel like you never missed a beat.
Yeah.
But she called me that day and she goes, I don't know what you're going through, but I will tell you one thing. And this is the most magical statement in the world, especially if you're having this challenge right now, is what are you teaching your boys? Because I had two boys. And that was the most empowering statement. It's like, oh, okay, it took me out of me and it put me into that mom position of what am I teaching my boys? And no, I'm not going to teach them that this is okay and this is acceptable. I'm going to break the chain now for once and for all. And I walked back in and I signed the paperwork for the OP. I got the OP and there's ramifications to OPs as well,
Yeah.
because the loveliness of it is they deliver it to your house, to the person who's in your house, and then they leave.
And then they
And you're
leave.
like,
And you're still like, help?
hello? No? So there's steps, but understand there are people out there who can support you and do that. And I had wished I had a me, I had a you going through it when I was going through it. And now we do. This is why I do what I do. Is this why you do what you do?
It is. It,
Yeah.
it definitely is. There are different stages in my life, and I have come to discover that the people that I attract are the people that I know I can help because I've been there. Eating disorder. I can see through the lies. I know the twists and turns, and I'm there. I can help. Abusive relationship, single parent, feeling the depths of depression, loneliness, anxiety. Been there. It's like I've been
Yep.
there, burned the t-shirt. I don't even want the t-shirt. I've burned it, I've set it on fire. It's
Set it on
like,
fire and stomped it. Yeah, no, and you're right. And it's funny because people will look at us today and go, "No, you didn't have that all go," because we keep it all private because we're
inside, yeah.
private, right? It was almost shamed by the fact that we didn't have the successful marriage or we didn't make all those best decisions. And I no longer have that because I know that by sharing my story with people, it helps them understand there's nothing to be shamed about. It just
Nope.
is. And it's part of the learning curve that you have to bring you to where you're supposed to be. And it feels dysfunctional, but without it, you'll see if you look at the background from any successful person, you will see they had a lot of amazing challenges that they were able to hurdle. And I look at it as the training ground. Those hurdles are getting you to where you need to be with the tools you
Absolutely.
need. Right. And I'm sure anybody who's done entrepreneurship or they've gone through courses to do whatever they want to do, they talk about avatars. I will give you the short and the easy avatars because I used to go, I don't care if she has a mini skirt on or a long skirt. That's not the point
Thank
of my
you.
avatar. I was like, what does she carry a briefcase? I don't care. Your avatar is your a version of your former self, one of the versions of the form of your former self, and we have many.
Absolutely.
So we can serve people in a lot of different ways because we bring the experience and the know-how and understand the hurdles that you're going to either jump if you choose to, or we can help you go around them. And I say it's kind of like skiing. If you ever ski, it's you can choose to take the mogul and hit the air. I choose not to hit the air anymore. I'm like, "Nah, I'll just go around it. It's just nicer. I
Just
don't
kind of
have to worry
scoot.
about the landings.
Yeah.
Yeah, why take the hard route? Let's take the shorter, easier route. But that's what we do. We help you choose. And sometimes people
Yes.
need to take the journey of the longer, harder route, right? Do you find that?
Absolutely. Because I felt that everything that, when I look back, everything that I've been through, if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, I wouldn't be able to help the people that I can help.
100%.
And
Have
and
those
it's
tools
like,
belt.
yes, you have to have that toolkit, that tool belt. And, like Rocky and Bullwinkle, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. And it's like, oh, wait, I got a solution. Give me a minute. Or let's think about this differently. And
Sure.
if I hadn't, I mean, what we go through at the time sucks. It's hurtful. Why am I going through all of this? But when you come to certain points in your life and you look back, damn, I've been through a lot and I'm still here. Damn, I can help people in this. It's like when I say I know what you're going through, I can speak that with truth versus sympathy. I have some, empathy and sympathy and say, I've been there and can give
Yeah.
an example of being there.
Yeah. And that's when
Somebody,
people
oh,
look at us
I've
and
been there, but they have no idea what your experience is.
exactly. Well, it's easy to tell the difference between someone who's been there and someone who's not been there. And that's it. They probably look at you like they look at me like, no, you haven't. I actually had a client say to me, "You've been there." And I was like, "Let me tell you a story." And you see the story and they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, but that's the beacon of we can come to the other side of that tunnel." So I can clearly say to you that your background and your early experiences, did they influence the direction of your career?
They have. My career, I when I started out, I had tunnel vision. A lot of young people have tunnel vision. I'm gonna do this and you get one track mind. I have taken twists, turns, switchbacks, U-turns, and without taking the scenic route, I won't think I would be where I'm at.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well,
I mean, I thought I was
I
going to
liken it.
be
You thought you were going to be, go ahead.
I thought I was going to be doing public relations for NASCAR. Now I get to work at a track one race race weekend a year, and so I've accomplished that goal. I started off as an intern at one racetrack, ended up working PR staff at a racetrack once a year, and I'm grateful for that. But clearly, God and the universe had other plans for me. And it's very funny because then I ended up in marketing and discovered I don't know if I like marketing because it feels a little slimy. So we got to go to something else. And I have to speak and go to what's true. And this is the most authentic for me. It resonates wholly. Like I'm supposed to be helping people, but in a
Yes,
non-traditional way.
yes, yes. And I just, well, I think it's more traditional today than we all think it is. I think it's getting
Sure.
more and more traditional. Because we've been seeing this for decades now, and
Yeah.
now we're bringing it to other people. And your experience at the racetrack helps what you do. Your experience in marketing helps what you're doing. So helping people get to that point where they can just be the best version of themselves and look inward as opposed to looking outward is just amazing to me. Because looking at you today, you would never know you had all those experiences because you look like your life is perfect, right? Right? And
Right.
just like, yeah, but there were like bumps in the road. I was saying before that I liken it to a Waze app. If you've ever used the Waze app, there's a long way, there's a medium way, and then there's a really short direct way. I try to take the short direct way because it's easier now than square pegging and holding, going the long, like you said, scenic route. But with the scenic route, you get certain experiences, and sometimes we need to do that. And that's why everybody needs to make that choice, and no choice is wrong. No decision is wrong. It's just a different route. You're going to end up in the same place. I guarantee you,
Yep.
you know,
This is
whether
very
it's
true.
10 years before or 10 years after, but we needed that time to really develop those tools. And I have to ask you this question. When you were going through this, were you reaching out and trying all different modalities to try to figure out, your sanity? Was that part of
Uh,
why you reached?
I was and I wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was just going to do the medium intuitive psychic route and find peace helping others talk to their loved ones on the other side, be connected into the intuition because I got into a point where I was doubting my sanity as to not just being gaslit and doubting my sanity in reality, but doubting my gut, doubting what I was being told. And for me, that's a big thing. It's like so Reiki adds to that in the sense that you get into this nice, peaceful state, this nice meditative state where you can really say, this is my intuition or this is an outside source.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And no,
yeah,
this is so imperative. so imperative because that's where you find the peace. That's when you find that you're present, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just amazing. We're going to go into another segment. We're going to take a short break, but before we take the break, I just want to, when we come back, I really want to talk about what a typical day for you looks like in your current role. I want you to share with our listeners what that looks like and inspire people because you're already inspiring people to be able to take that step, take that risk, have the courage because it's going to lead you to something even more beautiful. You wouldn't have the thought, the impetus to move if you didn't have something even bigger, better waiting for you. Because Source, Universe, God, however you refer to your higher power, has our back and is going to take us to that next step that we're supposed to go on our journey. So we're going to take a short break and we're going to come right back with this beautiful woman, Janice. Talk soon. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne. If you'd like to be a guest or lift up your business, product, non-for-profit, or if you have questions or comments, please, we would love to hear from you. Email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. That's healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. And as usual, all of the links associated with this episode and to get in touch with us is all associated with this episode below. In the meantime, I really want to get back to our quiet healer, Janice. Janice is from thequiethealer.com. If you can reach out to her, I really do recommend it. There is a sereneness about you, Janice, that just makes me feel so calm when I'm around you. I like talking with you because you are so very calm, and that calming element is just amazing with everything that we just spoke about that you've been through in your life. No, it couldn't be, but you found that place of sanity, that place of peace that we're all searching for. So we talked about just before we left the other segment that you would walk us through a typical day and what that looks like for you right now in your current role.
Um, so my typical day is unique. Every day is unique. Every day is a new adventure. For me, what is standard is I get up at 5, I exercise, I meditate, I journal, and that helps me to like, okay, I've accomplished my needs before I start getting track because the biggest thing, especially that I've learned as a self-care coach, is that people will, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. That's what happens is I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. And that's the
Sure.
cycle. And I've fallen off a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie, but the important thing is you get back on. As my mom would say, if the horse bucks you off, you get back on the horse. You dust off,
Sure.
get calm down, back on. Um, and it's very important that we take care of ourselves because
Why?
that whole you can't pour from an empty cup. So if we don't take care of ourselves, who's going to take care of us? Now, we may have people in our
Right.
lives when we get really sick or hurt or injured that are there for us, but for the most part, it's our responsibility. And it takes some people longer than others to get there. I admit it took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
So, but on the
Yeah,
work front,
you're part of the 5 a.m. club, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it's a good thing. I mean, it's like I like to read. So, and I like to read to learn. So that's when I do my reading to learn. Like if I'm just going to read a cheesy novel or, one of the Harlequin romances from back in the day, then I'll do that at night. But in the morning, that's when I feed my brain. So,
Yeah. Yes.
and,
Yes.
and I feel that's important.
So,
Plus, go ahead.
no, it's so you start your day, you have your habits, you self-care, and you're a
Hmm.
self-care healer, so that makes a lot of sense. You're actually doing the action that you expect and hope that your clients take, right? So you
Yes.
self-care. Then you move into once you are shored up, you have the energy to help support and care for other people, similar to the put
Absolutely.
the oxygen mask on first scenario.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And what happens is each client is different. Even if I've seen the same person on multiple occasions, their energy is different each time, and what they need to focus on is different each time. And
Yeah.
so I've had people come into me as someone who suffers from migraines. When they come in from a migraine with a migraine, they don't leave with one, which is if you've ever had a migraine, that's like hallelujah to come in and not have to take medicine or anything and leave calm. Or people who are really anxious and they don't know why. Or if somebody comes in for a reading to help them understand, I am just the mailman. I sometimes I deliver love letters, sometimes I deliver bills. There's no guarantee you're going to hear from the person you want to hear from, but my messages always are delivered with love, care, concern, and compassion. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really, everybody comes in different, everybody leaves different, and everyone
Yeah,
leaves
that's
more peaceful.
more peaceful, which is really important. Yeah, I find whenever I get a reading, it is more peaceful. It's just answering some questions that I had, and it just, knowing that the connection is actually there. And I think that's great. What are the biggest lessons you've learned through your work?
Is make no assumptions.
Meaning?
Meaning, I make no assumptions. Like, if someone comes into, like, we had this example for church. One of the churches that I was a member of when I was in Colorado, growing up in Colorado, there was a biker that came to church. We didn't think anything of it, but if you had a visitor, they were like, it's like, so he rides his bike to church. So he looks like a biker. He's at
Yeah.
church. He's not he's not causing any harm. He's here to find some peace and solace himself. So what's the big deal? So we make no judgments. I really work to not be judgmental. I work really hard to not judge that book by its cover. It's like your energy introduces you before you say one word, and that's usually what I go by. So when I say I make no assumptions, it's like your energy, you may look like this big, burly badass and be the big, softest teddy bear ever. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
know that
And
by
then,
making an assumption because you're in a biker outfit.
right,
Like,
right.
my favorite type of music is heavy metal. You would not know that looking at me. So please don't assume you know me just by looking at me. And I won't assume I know you by looking at you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the four agreements, one of the four agreements, which is make no assumptions and
I love that book.
speak impeccable with your words. And my favorite is I'm forgetting the one that's the most important because I try not to do it, is it's just really be kind to yourself. That making no assumptions about other people really helps you step back and really receive them how they really are. Because when we make assumptions, we paint everybody with the same brush, and that's not okay because you end up missing out on some really great people.
Mhm.
So I totally get what you're talking about. That's what I love about my new church. It's New Spring Church. When we go there, you're there as part of a community, and no one's making any judgments about you. They're there for them, and they're there for whatever they need to accomplish and communicate, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I just love that. But I love that it's make no assumptions. That's really good. What challenges have you faced along the way? And when we face challenges, we have to navigate them. So what's your biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you navigate it?
Parenthood. And I'm still navigating it.
Yeah.
Especially now that my son is 18, technically an adult, and that is scarier than when he was a toddler. Because like now it's like you have to trust that they make the right decisions, and I'm still guiding. He'll come to me. He feels safe enough to come to me. I am still a bit of a naggy, not intentionally naggy. He knows I come from a good place. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
steer you wrong on purpose, but it's like
Yeah.
he looks at me and goes, you know I'm an adult. And I'm looking, I'm like, I look at him and I just see that little boy. And then it's like he's got a lot of friends that went away to college. And recently I made a big move. I go, you're welcome to come, or you're welcome to be out on your own, but look at who your roommates would be. And he looks at me and goes, oh no, I'm moving with you. I'm in my freshman year of adulthood. I'm like, he coined his own term. It's like very appropriate.
But I've never heard that one. That's cool. That's
But
cool.
navigating it is still a challenge. But again, it comes from love and trying not to be overbearing and trying not, except for when it comes to finding a job. And he just took the union electrical union test for being an apprentice. It's like those things I will nag and be on just because I want what's best for him, and he knows that. But I the hardest part is stepping back, and so that's been my
Well, with
greatest
each,
challenge.
if yeah, so we've had 18 years of guiding and giving direction and supporting, and then all of a sudden that next day, boom, we're supposed to rip cord and stop doing it. Stop. We have 18 years of habits that we need to now step back from and take on a
Yes.
different role. And we have to first recognize that we have to take on a different role. So totally get you, girl, because had the same thing and learning how to take those steps back. It takes a little bit and understand I call us, we're in the cleanup crew segment where they
Yeah.
come to you and ask for advice and then they make their decision, just like some of our clients. And then we sit there and we know how it's going to turn out because we've been there, done there, made the mistakes, but they need to take that journey. And then we're there to help clean it up. So being a safe place to come back to is so important. I think that's the number one thing that you're doing. That's so, so important as it relates to your son, but and as, to your children. And I feel the same way. I feel like I learned my best negotiation skills with my kids because it's nonstop negotiation. So
It's
I
a
was like, I
non-stop
became
negotiation. That's right.
right. I was like, oh no, I'm a fierce negotiator. So it's really great. Even my partner's like, you go negotiate it because I love the way you negotiate. And I was like, I've had a lot of experience. So, so to be able to find that nice medium where everybody's happy is an interesting thing to step into. Um, I think about this all the time because I know that the terminology is thrown around a lot, and I know I use it a lot. Um, but success is defined in a lot of different ways. How do you define success?
I define success as just making sure I am authentically me at all times. Because we all want the successful business, the successful job, the successful whatever that looks like. Success is very personal now. It's like I'm successfully still on the planet. And there were things brought to me that could have broke me. And I'm successfully
Yeah,
on the
yeah. Well,
planet.
that's courage, stepping into it, and that's very successful. I like your definition of success. That's really good. I think it is a personal definition. Everybody needs to define success the way they want to, not the way the media or the movies defined it. That doesn't necessarily mean success. And I think sometimes we try to measure ourselves based on these fairy tale type endings. And it's like,
Mhm.
we can have a fairy tale ending, but it may not look like the movies suggest that it looks like, or may not look like what our media is suggesting in those commercials. We need to define it ourselves. It's the same with the definition of wealth, right? There's a
Yep.
lot of things that go into wealth. It's not just money. So I love your definition of success. And yeah, still standing, still here, still standing.
Still standing. Yep.
That's that's
Elton
beautiful.
John said it
Beautiful.
best.
Which was?
I'm still standing. Better than I ever would.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true. I love that. And it's true, but you're here on your own terms. And you said something that I want you to help our listeners define because people use this terminology, but they don't tell you what it really means. You said that you want to be genuinely yourself. And we throw transparency and genuine around these days. But genuinely yourself is you're an individual and you're very, very different from anybody else. That's the magic. That's the conversation about the magic, right?
That's what makes us individuals. We can be part of the one. We are part of the one, but we are individuals. Like I love Nora Hibbert. She's like we are raindrops that we each have our own little bucket in the ocean. And my partner, my husband and I are watching the show Pluribus. and I totally identify with the main character. And he and I had this discussion just last night. It's like, oh, I'd would want, not so much he would want to be part of the oneness, but he could understand it. I would like, I'm the individual. And as like,
Yeah.
as somebody who wants to help people, I want to help anyone and everyone who comes to me, but they have to want to come to me. They have to want to make the, I'm not going to force any changes on them. And when you
Yeah.
watch the show, if you watch the show very intensely and observe what's going on, you will see that they're trying to force her to become one of them. And she wants to be them. She wants everyone to be back to individuality. And it's like you see both sides. And it's not so much pick a side, it's just like, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Because
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
both sides, and I would say I would want my individuality because that's what makes me me.
Yeah, well, individuality is also, to me, a part of the definition of freedom. You know,
Yes,
when you become one of a group and you have to submit. And once you submit, you are giving away pieces of yourself, of that individuality. And again, we can be part of a community and still be individuals. And that to me is part of what's so beautiful about the United States and the freedoms that we have is we can be individuals, we can have our own opinions, we can agree to disagree, but
yeah,
we are still, allowing each other to live the way that each of us wants to live without impeding. As soon as we impede on other people's lives, that's a different conversation, but without
yeah,
impeding on other people's lives to be the best version of ourselves and to really grow ourselves. When you submit, you're reducing your growth capacity too.
yeah.
It's when you're part of that. So yeah, I agree with you. I would rather be the individual. So, but I've proven that over and over again because I resist. I just do. I really want to be myself because I lost myself for a very long time, and we
I'm
don't want to do
totally
that.
understand that.
And
No,
you get that, right? Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, we gave pieces away of yourself, right? You gave pieces away, not even knowingly, just thinking that that's what we should do. And then all of a sudden, it's like, where am I? Who am
Where am
I?
I? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like anytime I talk about abuse, especially like dating violence or how did you end up in an abusive marriage and all this, it's sneaky. It's little
Yeah.
by little by little. And it's
Yeah.
what
I
you,
call it,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
right? I'm calling it justing to death, So
Yes,
I just want this, I just want that. When you put it all together, holy moly, I just want you to be who I want you to be, not who you are. There's a big difference, right?
there's a big difference. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Um,
And same is true for work. I left a very secure position based on intuition, and it was very interesting because I left with nothing lined up. I'm a single mom and I was just like, I can't do this because if I end up in the hospital, I've got no one to take care of my son. And my job, because I worked in HR, would have no problems replacing me.
right.
And again, it comes back to the individuality and knowing who I am. And what I was doing was no longer resonating. I went into HR thinking I was going to help people. I helped no one
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
company.
Sure isn't what
Let's
you
be
think it is.
honest. I go back into marketing and I'm trying to sell you stuff you don't need. I mean, if I were trying to sell you something that I thought that would be helpful to you, that's different.
Yeah,
But it's like that's a big part of like, okay, who am I? Because yes, I want to be successful in the definition of kind of like the media. I want to be abundant, but I also want to help people. And
yeah,
those two things, they coexist, but it's difficult to see them together.
yeah, yeah. 100%. What advice would you offer someone who's just beginning a similar journey that you've been on?
Don't give up. It's hard sometimes, but don't give up. And understand, look at how far you've come. There's a great book called The Gap in the Gain. If you're always looking at the gap, you're not going to make the gain. That's when you need to look back and see how far you've come. Don't focus on the gap. Look at how far you've come. Look at where you're at. Look at where you started. Started way over here. And look at where you're at. You're way over here.
Yeah, 100%. Your work has evolved over time.
Yes.
What's new? What do you see ahead? What's ahead for you?
I'm doing something very brave. I usually do one-on-one readings, so I do my Reiki. Those are
Right?
all one-on-one private sessions. And I find that the most rewarding because I'm helping people on their healing journey, both spiritually, mentally, physically. And chances are you will always end up with a reading as well, because that's when I find people are the most relaxed and they accept the messages that they need to hear versus what they want to anticipate hearing when they come into a one-on-one session. And I still do the one-on-one readings, but I have opened up to doing small gallery readings here on Long Island in my space. So it's very intimate, it's very small. That's my way of stepping out of a comfort zone. I'm doing it before the universe like shoves me off a cliff again because I feel like it's gonna happen. So it's like, okay, I'll
Again
do
for
it. I'll do
you?
it.
No, please not that again. We've done that one. We won't do it again. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's amazing. Again, stepping into courage, stepping outside of your comfort zone. I'm actually more comfortable when I'm uncomfortable because I know I'm growing. If that makes sense, if you follow that
Absolutely.
logic, and
Yep.
when you're comfortable, you're too comfortable, you're not growing. So I think that's beautiful that you do it. What keeps you inspired and motivated when that work feels difficult? Because sometimes it does feel difficult.
It does. Keeps me inspired and motivated is the look on people's faces when they come in for Reiki. They come in, they're frazzled. They're like, "Oh my God, this hurts, that hurts." Then and then they'll walk out and they're like, "Oh, thank you." There's like just bringing that wave of peace, relaxation, and the same is true for readings. It's like watching people like the face, just the faces transform. They come over and it's like not grief but relief.
Yes, yes,
Um,
beautiful. Quick question for you before we end. Unfortunately, our time just flies by. It's a beautiful thing. The take action coach, right? So, what action can they take right now, right after this episode, so they can step into their next journey?
is take a time to do like a check-in, an intuitive check-in. Like if you're at a job and you feel like you hate it, take a moment to step back inside, but at the same time, kind of take a panoramic look. That's like, okay, do I hate what I'm doing? Do I not like the people I'm working with or working for? And what is that? What is my body telling me?
Beautiful. Unbelievable. Your website is thequiethealer.com. Reach out to Janice, have a reading. Definitely do the Reiki because it's amazing. And really, this is an opportunity to get in touch and maybe start a journey, or if you're in the middle of a journey, it's a really nice way to touch back and get insight into the journey that you're having. I really recommend, as always, to have someone alongside you on that journey, and that's what coaches and healers do. We walk alongside. We don't tell you what to do. And if somebody does, get another person. They should just make suggestions so that you make decisions. As I say, as a coach, I make suggestions, you make decisions. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate your time here today, Janice, and
Thank
you're just courage. You're just so inspiring.
you. Thank you, Laura. This has been
Great.
wonderful.
Lovely. And thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest today, Janice, who is just amazing, thequiethealer.com. Look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. on JVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio. And we can also be found on all major platforms. And we'd be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 take action success coach and strategist. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears. Let your life be filled with joy. Until next time, keep taking brave steps forward because action is where the magic happens. This is Coach Lorianne reminding you your future self is already cheering you on. Until next time, have a great week.